One of the interesting things about being a parent is that there is great variation in how we raise our children. At the same time, there are many commonalities from one parent to another. Your parenting style refers to the combination of strategies that you use to raise your children. The four commonly referenced categories of parenting styles are authoritarian or disciplinarian, permissive or indulgent, uninvolved, and authoritative.
Each parenting style varies in at least four areas: discipline style, communication, nurturance, and expectations. Authoritarian parents are often thought of as disciplinarians. They use a strict discipline style with little negotiation possible. Punishment is common. Communication is mostly one way from parent to child. Rules usually are not explained. Parents with this style are typically less nurturing. Expectations are high with limited flexibility.
Permissive or indulgent parents mostly let their children do what they want and offer limited guidance or direction. They are more like friends than parents. Their discipline style is the opposite of strict. They have limited or no rules and mostly let their children figure out problems on their own. Communication is open, but these parents let their children decide for themselves rather than giving them direction. Parents in this category tend to be warm and nurturing. Expectations are typically minimal or not set by these parents.
Uninvolved parents give children a lot of freedom and generally stay out of their way. Some parents may make a conscious decision to parent in this way, while others are less interested in parenting or unsure of what to do. No particular discipline style is utilized. An uninvolved parent lets a child mostly do what he wants, probably out of a lack of information or caring. Communication is limited. This group of parents offers little nurturing. There are few or no expectations of children.
Authoritative parents are reasonable and nurturing, and set high, clear expectations. Children with parents who demonstrate this style tend to be self-disciplined and think for themselves. This style is thought to be most beneficial to children. Disciplinary rules are clear and the reasons behind them are explained. Communication is frequent and appropriate to the child's level of understanding. Authoritative parents are nurturing. Expectations and goals are high but stated clearly, and also children may have input into these goals.
Few of us fit neatly into one single parenting style, but rather raise children using a combination of styles. Think of the four styles as a continuum instead of four distinct ways to parent. Additionally, our styles will change depending on what our children need from us at specific points in time.
While it is easier for the family when both parents practice the same style of parenting, some research shows that if at least one parent is authoritative, that is better for the child than having two parents with the same less effective style. And of course, there are more influences on who children become than just parenting style. Some of the many other factors impacting a child's development include these elements: the child's temperament and how it fits with the parents, a teacher's or relative's style of working with children and the match of teaching style to parenting style, and the influence of a child's peer group.
Reflecting on where you fit on the spectrum of parenting styles can be helpful. Know that any of us with any style at any point in time could benefit from the self-reflection that typically comes from participating in a parenting class. Talking with other parents and a facilitator can be helpful and reassuring. That was our portion about parenting styles. Before moving on to managing problem behavior, are there any questions?
One of the biggest challenges parents face is managing difficult or defiant behavior. Whether they're refusing to put on their shoes or throwing full-blown tantrums, you can find yourself at a loss for an effective way to respond. For parents at their wits' end, behavioral therapy techniques can provide a roadmap to more consistent ways to manage problem behaviors, and offers a chance to help children gain the developmental skills they need to regulate their own behaviors. The first step in a good behavior management plan is to identify target behaviors. These behaviors should be specific, observable, and measurable so everyone can be clear and agree whether or not the behavior happened.
To understand and respond effectively to problematic behavior, you have to think about what came before it as well as what comes after it. There are three important aspects to any given behavior: antecedents, behaviors, and consequences. Antecedents: preceding factors that make a behavior more or less likely to occur. Another, more familiar term for this is triggers. Learning and anticipating antecedents is an extremely helpful tool in preventing misbehavior. Behaviors: the specific actions you are trying to encourage or discourage. Consequences: the results that naturally or logically follow a behavior. Consequences, positive or negative, affect the likelihood of a behavior recurring. And the more immediate the consequence, the more powerful it is.
Here are some antecedents to avoid. Assuming expectations are understood. Don't assume kids know what is expected of them. Spell it out. Demands change from situation to situation, and when children are unsure of what they are supposed to be doing, they're more likely to misbehave. Calling things out from a distance. Be sure to tell children important instructions face to face. Things yelled from a distance are less likely to be remembered and understood. Transition without warning. Transitions can be hard for kids, especially in the middle of something they are enjoying. Having warning gives children the chance to find a good stopping place for an activity and makes the transition less tense. Asking rapid-fire questions or giving a series of instructions. Delivering a series of questions or instructions at children limits the likelihood that they will hear, answer questions, remember the tasks, and do what they have been instructed to do.
Here are some antecedents that can encourage good behavior. Be aware of the situation. Consider and manage environmental and emotional factors. Hunger, fatigue, anxiety, or distractions can all make it much more difficult for children to rein in their behavior. Adjust the environment. When it's homework time, for instance, remove distractions like video screens and toys. Provide snacks, establish an organized place for kids to work, and make sure to schedule some breaks. Attention isn't infinite. Make expectations clear. You'll get better cooperation if both you and your child are clear on what's expected. Sit down with them and present the information verbally. Even if they should know what is expected, clarifying expectations at the outset of a task helps head off misunderstandings down the line. Provide countdowns for transitions. Whenever possible, prepare children for an upcoming transition. Let them know when it is and remind them as it is coming. Just as important as issuing the countdown is actually making the transition at the stated time. Let kids have a choice. As kids grow up, it's important they have a say in their own scheduling. Giving a structured choice can help them feel empowered and encourage them to become more self-regulating.
Not all consequences are created equal. Some are an excellent way to create structure and help kids understand the difference between acceptable behaviors and unacceptable behaviors, while others have the potential to do more harm than good. Having a strong understanding of how to intelligently and consistently use consequences can make all the difference.
Here are some consequences to avoid. Giving negative attention. Children value attention from the important adults in their life so much that any attention, positive or negative, is better than none. Negative attention, such as raising your voice or spanking, actually increases bad behavior over time. Also, responding to behaviors with criticism or yelling adversely affects children's self-esteem. Delayed consequences. The most effective consequences are immediate. Every moment that passes after a behavior, your child is less likely to link their behavior to the consequences. It becomes punishing for the sake of punishing, and it's much less likely to actually change the behavior. Disproportionate consequences. Parents understandably get very frustrated. At times, they may be so frustrated that they overreact. A huge consequence can be demoralizing for children, and they may give up even trying to behave. Positive consequences. When a child delays instead of putting on their shoes or picking up their toys, and in frustration you do it for them, you're increasing the likelihood that behavior will continue.
Consequences that are more effective begin with generous attention to the behaviors you want to encourage. Positive attention for positive behaviors. Giving your child positive reinforcement for being good helps maintain the ongoing good behavior. Positive attention enhances the quality of relationships, improves self-esteem, and feels good for everyone involved. Positive attention to good behavior can also help kids become more receptive to instructions and limit setting. Ignoring actively. This should be used only with minor misbehaviors, not aggression and not very destructive behavior. Active ignoring involves the deliberate withdrawal of attention when a child starts to misbehave. As you ignore, you wait for positive behavior to resume. At that point, give positive attention as soon as the desired behavior starts. By withholding your attention until you get positive behavior, you are teaching your child what behavior gets you to engage. Reward menus. Rewards are a tangible way to give children positive feedback for desired behaviors, something a child earns. Rewards are most effective as motivators when the child can choose from a variety of things: extra time on the iPad, a special treat, etc. This offers the child control and reduces the possibility of a reward losing its appeal over time. And also, timeouts.
Timeouts are one of the most effective consequences parents can use, but also one of the hardest to do correctly. Be clear. Establish which behaviors will result in timeouts. Be consistent. Randomly administering timeouts when you're feeling frustrated undermines the system and makes it harder for the child to connect behaviors with consequences. Set rules and follow them. During a timeout, there should be no talking to the child until you are ending the timeout. Return to the task. If timeout was issued for not complying with a task, once it ends, the child should be instructed to complete the original task. This way, kids won't begin to see timeouts as an escape strategy.
Thank you for joining us.